straight north of my small town. Yes, 32 kilometers is
Oh,
about 20 miles, 20, yeah, somewhere around there. So yes, it is the big city. It's my big city of when I grew up. I mean, going to Nantes when I was a child was a big thing, and it would take a whole day.
wow. So does that chapter look
It looks very
similar to what you would imagine?
it looks very real, and that's exactly the kind of food you find in bistros and restaurants along the coast, because we have a lot of coast
Mm.
on the west side of France. Is all coast, so we have lots of coast around Nantes. So the scallops, the beurre blanc, which is definitely the main sauce made from butter, obviously, but it's made originating from Nantes, which is usually made with muscadet, the dry white wine of the region, and then butter. So
Mm.
you reduce the white wine with some shallots and some thyme and a bay leaf. You reduce that down to almost nothing, and then you add some creme fraiche, a spoon, and then you bring that to a boil, and then you incorporate a pound of butter in there, and then you get this beautiful beurre blanc, and that goes really well with Loire pike. We have some pikes in the pink pike in the Loire River, and they're getting harder and harder to find. But they're definitely, when I was a child, that was definitely a treat of the area,
Uh-huh.
either that or salmon trout. So,
Mm.
yeah, definitely a beautiful sauce from the region. And the scallops in the shell, extremely common on the coast around there. The oysters, all those different shellfish.
Sounds delicious, Jackie. When we come back, let's talk about Seattle and its little neighborhood joints. That's kind of like your deal for the Seattle Times,
Yeah,
and we'll jump
sounds
into
great.
that when we return on the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Woo! What's the address? I gotta get there.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. All right, let's move on to our next segment with Jackie.
Did you make a note for Sean Vittori to fix that spot tonight? Yeah.
We are live, we are live, we are live on YouTube.
You're watching yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing very fancy there.
Hopefully some.
All right. Up, chewing on the sandwich again. Jackie, you've got 2 kids. Is that what I heard?
Mm-hmm.
How old are
2
they?
little girls.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
They're my favorite.
I have a 9-month-old, and
Oh.
my older daughter turns 4 in June.
Ooh,
So,
you have a busy household.
yeah, they're keeping me on my toes 100%.
What neighborhood are you living in?
We live in Maple Leaf.
Oh, cute. What happened to the shambles? Did it
Oh, God, that's such an interesting. I think they're, trying to sell or try to find someone who wants to take on their concept, but then they're just kind of hanging on until that happens.
Oh,
But it's a tough road out there to figure out what to do.
no kidding.
And
I
I'm
think
sure-
Tom and Terry can testify to that.
Right?
That's
And the
a-
last 2 years has not been kind to any restaurant owner.
No.
It's not been kind to a lot of small businesses for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very difficult time.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah.
Ready, set?
Ready, set.
All right.
Ready, set.
Here we are back at the Hot Stove Society Show down here in downtown Seattle at the Hotel Andra. It is beautifully remodeled. If you've never been here or if you've been here before,
Gorgeous.
it's gorgeous right now, man. The rooms are looking good. It's a sweet spot. We're back in the kitchen here with Jackie Varriano from the Seattle Times, and she is charged. Maybe you could describe what your charge is at the Times that makes you a little different than Tan Vin.
Yeah. Well, my main focus is really on the outlying neighborhoods around Seattle. and kind of highlighting some of the great restaurants that we have that maybe aren't right downtown or in Ballard, which is really fun because you get to meet so many people who are really passionate about their neighborhood and their favorite places in their neighborhood, which is where a lot of my tips come from, is readers begging me to come to their favorite restaurant, which I love because they're the best proponents.
Don't they realize as soon as you write about it, though, they're not going to be able to get in anymore?
I know, but I mean, it's a necessary thing. I don't know. Maybe sometimes it doesn't always work.
Have you been to a place called Off Alley in Columbia City?
No, in Columbia City, no. And I've had my eye on that for a while. But that's the thing with con is, you know, sometimes we fight over who gets to go to what restaurant, even if it is in a
You should win.
neighborhood.
You should win that one.
I know I should.
So let's talk about when you first walk in. Neighborhood joints are very different. Matt, if you look at the way the COVID has gone, you know, it just wiped out travel and business travel. And for downtown core restaurants, that was a main part of our business. But, you know, I live in a neighborhood and I've watched Ballard stay super busy when you go out there. Do you have a different criteria when you think about a neighborhood restaurant? Is there a different thing that you're looking for than you would say a $1 million joint downtown Seattle?
Oh, that's a great question. I think there is a little magic in a neighborhood restaurant, right? It's something that you go to because it's close to your house and you feel comfortable there. It might not be as flashy or as a downtown restaurant, but there's something that keeps bringing you back. Right. So going into, let's say, Local 104, which I just wrote about, that's in the paper today. It's a pizza place in Lake Forest Park. There's really nothing else on that road. You know, it's not in kind of a strip mall situation or anything. It's by itself. And the owners just love their neighborhood. They have regulars they see. They have a pretty big menu as well because I think they're trying to serve the neighborhood in a way that can't just be limited to one menu item, right? So they've got sandwiches, they've got soup, salads, pastas, pizza. And they're family friendly. I think a lot of these neighborhood joints want to watch kids grow up in a different way.
That's true. I mean, I think that's what happened with neighborhood joint is you get the parents coming with the kids, the 4-year-old, 5-year-old, and then 10 years later or 15 years later, the kids actually come with their friend.
Yeah, or maybe that kid's waiting tables, you know?
Right. No, it's totally what makes a neighborhood restaurant so amazing. It's definitely part of the community. So.
And is your inbox just full of tips all the time from listeners? Like I know we get a few from our listeners here on our show. You must get even more because that's your business.
Yeah. I mean, not all the time. If anyone's listening, please email me. Always love to hear about more neighborhood restaurants for sure.
Exactly. Other favorites?
Oh, that's impossible. That's like asking me who my favorite child is.
No, I said other favorites. So, you know, I don't expect you to just,
Oh, I thought you said all day favorites.
What are some of your other favorites?
Of neighborhood restaurants?
Yeah.
Oh, God. That's great. I have a very bad habit of forgetting things because I'm always into what is happening, what I'm focusing on next, or what's going on next. Like I was just on Bainbridge Island yesterday doing some research, and I went to Blackbird Bakery, which I had not been to yet, and just devoured this slice of coffee cake, which I feel like is a really underrated morning snack. Like it. And so now I just can't stop thinking about that cinnamon walnut coffee cake on Bainbridge Island, which when am I going to get there again?
That's so funny. I mean, sometimes in our business, I have the whole 6 degree of separation thing because I'm old and I've been around for a long time. And one of my line cooks at Cafe Sport in 1985 left and went to open the Blackbird Bakery on Bainbridge Island, and has been doing it ever since. Isn't that
Oh wow.
Nice.
wild? Yeah. So
Yes. But that's like such a great thing about who you are. You've been able to foster so much creativity and then now watch how it just blooms all over the city, right?
well, yeah. It's if it wasn't me, it would have been somebody else. I don't really think about it in that way, but I do think that there are these funny little connected lines in the restaurant business that we've explored a few times in our long amount of time in the business.
That's what happened if you stick around for
I
a
know,
while.
exactly. Exactly. So Bainbridge Island, there's so much going on over there. There's that fish and chip joint that I love.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember.
Well, yeah, they just changed ownership, but I just had a fish sandwich there when I was working on a pizza article that was phenomenal, and they've got great chips.
Yeah. There is the Bosnian pita. Tell us about that.
Oh my God, that's so good. And I was unprepared for how large it was going to be. I think it says, it can feed 4, but that would be 4 very hungry people. And it's the woman who makes it, she has a video on her website of how she does it. And I swear the table has got to be about 12 feet long. And she is rolling out this pastry that is so thin, you could probably read a newspaper through it. And it's filled with the spiced lamb and rolled up, just coiled up and baked. And there's nothing I can say bad about it. It's amazing.
Is it the business called the Uptown Commissary?
It's called Kitchen Sisters. I think it used to be called the Uptown Commissary before it changed.
And where is that? It sounds like it's on Queen Anne.
Yeah, it's in Uptown, right by Cafe Ladro, I think.
I've never seen. I go through that area all the time. I was there in that area this morning for a meeting.
I'm trying to see it. I'm not seeing it. Bottom of Queen Anne, I don't see it.
You remember the old restaurant Pony? How long have you been around Seattle?
Only 7 years, so I'm pretty much a baby.
Yeah, so that's long before you then. That used to be right there in the Uptown neighborhood, and Toulouse is right there, and it is interesting, especially when you live in a neighborhood, to kind of explore. You start to drill down, right, and explore the smaller and smaller joints, and meet mom and pops that are running things, and grandmas.
But keep promoting those neighborhoods. It's very much worth it. I think it's part of our community, and we have many of them in the area, in Seattle especially. And I think it's worth promoting because they need help. They need promotion, and they need to be known, and they also need the word to know that they're doing a great job. So they need to be sustained. You're
very much at Luke. You were very much a neighborhood restaurant. Yeah,
very much ingrained into Madison Valley. That was definitely I love that idea to have people who live 2 blocks away. They walk into your business. I just love that. I think it's very cool.
And in my 40 years doing this in downtown Seattle, downtown has become much more of a neighborhood than when I started. There was always the Pike Place Market, was kind of the neighborhood, and then now it has branched out. Certainly, Belltown came along, and it's just much different than it used to be.
Oh, of course.
All right, Jackie Varriano from the Seattle Times covers the food scene and neighborhoods around Seattle. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. This was wonderful.
All right.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you for your great writing.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, when we come back, let's talk corned beef. I've got one in the oven. I can smell it right now. I want to try it. On Cairo, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Thank you, Jackie. See you later.
I need to start writing more thoughts down for better questions.
Corned beef for anyone? Yeah, let's do it. This is the 7th inning stretch if you want to.
Pepsi. Popcorn.
Corned beef.
Corned beef. Popcorn. Corned beef.
Only have corned beef.
I have some corned beef. Can you believe to be at the game? I have some corned beef.
Goes great with baseball.
That would be so good. walking around with sauerkraut and cold beef. Little plates, little pee-pee, little toes. Coming. Show the people. Oh my goodness. Look at all that beautiful fat on the bottom.
Well, this was, I don't know, it's Snake River Farm, but I don't know that it was Wagyu.
I don't think it was.
Wow.
Wagyu brisket all the time. Wow, that smells awesome.
Doesn't
But this
it? Yeah, that's what you want, is that nice,
is the top sirloin.
crispy crunch.
Ooh. Mm.
Good spot.
Need some rye bread and some sauerkraut. Or some baguette and some cornichon.
Yeah, either one of those. Just fine.
Oh my God. Gotta put them on the side in there. Didn't forget to put salt. Sure.
Hinkley, you want some? You know, there is fat on it.
Would you like some?
Of course.
Wait a minute, I'm confused.
Bring the curing salt out.
Just to see what you guys have to say.
Princess Di, you want some corned beef?
Sure, I'll try it.
Sure. Sounds skeptical. You eat meat?
Yeah.
Okay.
On the board? You're welcome.
Here you go, Chef.
Salt.
Oh, that's yours.
Got the curing salt in it.
Where's yours? Mm.
I'll eat it later.
Really?
Corned beef tender.
Thank you.
Mmm.
Be good with some mustard.
I'm glad they didn't make the mistake to take all the fat out. Because that really helps.
Well, that's what I was going to be concerned about as a top sirloin, that there wasn't going to be the fat like brisket has.
Right.
But
But they were smart to keep some of it.
we left the fat cap on.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Where did you get this from?
Ballard Market.
This is really delicious. What do you guys think? Chris? Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah, it does.
really tender,
Yeah.
great flavor.
It's the way it was cut and cooked. Just saying.
That's important. Huh?
Well, that's what I was cutting all the way around this, because it's not like the brisket. You can pretty much cut any way you want on that. I was just trying it out.
I had no idea you could use different cuts.
Of course you can.
There's some good radio content.
Haven't you ever had
right
the
there.
corned lamb tongue at Revel?
Mm-hmm.
The lamb tongue is so tender.
I know you love lamb tongue. You made us.
You eat this, but you don't eat lamb tongue? What do you mean no?
I think because Tom made us serve it to 4,000 people at Pebble Beach for Food and Wine, and I have not recovered.
4,000 lamb tongue?
Yeah. It was
That would cure anyone. No pun
exactly
intended.
what I'm saying.
Wow. This is really good.
It was 10 years ago.
Mm. nice boiled potato and some sauerkraut with that.
But you know, this points to why food affinities are so important because I'm craving that sauerkraut bite
Me too.
with the corned
And the
beef.
boiled potato.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a nice yellow
Just
fin
that's-
melting on your fork, and
Can we
that
be
beautiful.
clear here? I don't think sauerkraut is at all appropriate for this.
Oh, you know, it's okay. We can
I
have
know
a
what a
different-
Reuben is, but
Yeah.
to me, I like cabbage with it.
You like what? Just cabbage?
Crispy cabbage. It'd be good to have it.
But what kind of seasoning in the
Roasted.
cabbage? I mean, not just plain cabbage, right?
Caramelized? No, plain cabbage.
To be clear.
I like
Oh.
I like what I like with that kind of richness.
Sauerkraut is Alsatian, not Irish.
Yeah,
Okay,
good
so
point.
we could use an Irish version of a sauerkraut, which would be basically braised cabbage with finished with vinegar, and you'd have the same kind of context as a sauerkraut idea. What I'm looking for
Would you
is
really?
that brightness that there is in sauerkraut to be cutting through the saltiness and the richness of this. And the potato is to smooth the whole thing down, man. A boiled potato goes with anything, right?
Definitely have well.
Yeah. And if you didn't have that, I
But
would,
like confit or any, well, let's do this on the radio.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're going in a great direction. I like it when they. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Not a bad idea. Good idea. Good idea.
That'd be good enough for me.
And that's all matters. I like the fact that, okay. We are back on the hot society.
Now I've got a mustard seed in my teeth.
Me too.
Ooh.
Did you see there was a shortage of mustard seed from Canada this year?
No.
Did you say that? Oh, no.
No. But is
We're
that
going to have a shortage of mustard. I'm like,
what?
panic aboard. I'm buying 6 jars of Amora. I'm like, my basement's going to get filled up with mustard. I'm like, can't be out of mustard. That would be like a fire in the
Bad
house.
day. That'd be a bad day.
No Dijon mustard. I'm like, no way. I put that in my coffee every morning. No, just kidding.
We're back in the Hot Stove Society kitchen from the Hotel Andra, downtown Seattle. Thank you for sticking with us. If you want to look us up on YouTube, which is where we are now broadcasting live on during our show on Friday mornings, you can go to our YouTube channel. Is that right, Sean? Yeah. That's right.
That is correct.
Chef Terry, what are you eating? By the way, I'm Tom Douglas. Thanks for hanging with us.
And I'm Terry Rotero, the chef in the hat. And yes, thanks for hanging. You just missed out on some corned beef. So now you should definitely buy a ticket and come and see us every Friday morning here at the Hot Stove.
So I used to always get my corned beef. It is St. Patrick's time. I used to always get it at Market House Corned Beef up there on Olive, right by the freeway.
Yep.
And they have since they're not producing corned beef anymore. I think they got. I don't know what happened. I'm not going to speculate, but
So.
let's do that over. Could be I just ate a pound of corned beef in about 2 seconds.
And you know what? No problem. It's all good for you.
Something tells me that amount of salt is probably not good for you.
It's probably not, but you know, you need some salt in your life.
Okay, Mr. Del Torre, we are going to start that again. Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo. Tom Douglas here.
Terry Rotero, the chef in the hat with you.
Thank you for joining us. You can now find us on our own YouTube channel at Hot Stove Radio, if I'm not mistaken. Good. Hot Stove Radio. Check it out and see if you can find us and join us on Friday mornings live, or you can pick it up during the week.
See how handsome we are.
See me choke to death on mustard seeds right now. Why am I choking on mustard seeds, chef?
Because we're eating some beautiful, beautiful roasted corned beef you just made.
Yep. I put this in the oven last night, and the way I make corned beef from typically I buy it. I rarely have ever corned my own corned beef.
Correct.
But this week I saw in all the grocery stores, and I picked up one that from the Bancaro brothers, an old Seattle family, and the place that I would normally get my corned beef would be Market House corned beef up on Olive, and it has gone out of business, or is I'm not sure what happened to it, but it's sorely missed. But anyway, I saw when I was buying my corned beef, there were two options. One was the Bancaro, which was a classic brisket, and it was the flat of the brisket. It didn't have the nose on it.
Right.
The nose is kind of like the fatty part of the brisket.
Right.
I bought one because that's what was available, and then I was walking by and I saw a whole bin of Snake River Farms top round brisket or top round corned beef. So corning is a process, right?
Correct.
Just because it says corned beef doesn't mean it has to be brisket, although I would say 99% of the time that's what it is.
Correct.
But brisket's getting very expensive. And so maybe they're looking for ways to do this. So I thought, well, let's buy one of these and I can tell our listeners whether or not it's worth having.
Well, I think it's a great way for a farmer who's taking a 1,200-pound steer, kill it. It's nice to be able to have other options besides just the brisket to be corned,
Right.
because it allows them to, corn other pieces of the beef that are
Right.
not sold.
So corning is a preservation method,
Correct.
right? That is not unlike making confit, right?
Yeah, it's-
In France, where you're using fat to preserve, you boil in fat and then you layer fat over the top to keep the oxygen out. Corning isn't worried about the oxygen so much, but it's got a salt
Correct.
cure to
Right.
it.
Yeah, and the salt cured is the one that makes the preservation. And then once you roast that baby up, it definitely has a little bit of salty bite, but the corn part is definitely delicious because it's roasted and it's got the beautiful dryness in the seeds.
Yeah, the
Mustard
pickling
seeds.
spice is essentially what it is,
Yeah,
right?
it's mustard seed, coriander, and
Allspice,
Yeah.
things like that is typically the spice in what we consider or call pickling spice. You do
Right.
it for a shrimp cocktail, you use it for your corning. But I think the important part, if you're going to try and do this on your own, you have to follow some rules. One is you can't just use salt, right?
Right.
You have to use curing salt. So
Right.
it has some forms of nitrates in it. There's some natural ones, like celery seed has its own version of nitrates that you might be able to figure out you see this in like a PCC, the gray corned beef, right?
right.
Because that particular type of nitrate doesn't keep it red
Correct.
like these other pink salt nitrates, is why corned beef always looks so red. And it's literally injected throughout the meat and it's preserved, and it only takes 10 days to a week. So you are probably out of luck for this year, but if you want to try it, it'd be fun to try anyways.
You can try it. It's still this year. You still have time to do it. I mean, you don't have to just eat corned beef on St. Patty's Day.
That
I
is
think
true.
corned beef is good any night.
Pam, you wrote down an article from the website tasteofhome.com, and it's how to make corned beef from scratch. And I looked that up, and it's exactly the way that I would go about it myself. But I have no problem with nitrates personally, so I go ahead and use the pink salt. I don't go for the gray corned beef.
Right.
I like the color
Yeah.
too.
You're
Oh,
a
yeah.
PCC aficionado, though. So
I know. I'm gonna end up
So-
with gray corned beef.
getting back to what we have in front of us here today, Thierry.
So that's a 2-pound piece of beef. About.
2.5. Yeah.
Yeah. And you put that in the oven last night?
I did. I put it in the oven in an open cast iron braising pot,
Right.
and I put a little bit of water in the bottom because
Right.
I've always liked to bake my corned beef, not boil it.
Right.
And the reason people boil it sometimes is to leach some of the salt out of the process. So I like to bake it because I like a little brown, and I also like to keep the fat on, so I like it to get rendered but not go away.
Right.
Right.
You also could do the technique then, if you have enough time, enough days ahead of you, to boil that meat. If you want to boil it first, to boil that meat and then let it dry out. So when you try to put it in the oven to get that searing, you do have an advantage by being dried out. If you take it out of the water and put it in the oven, it's never going to be as dry and as crispy as it does
Right.
from roasting. So
So I put this 2-pound piece of top round, which is 99.9% of the corned beef you see out there is brisket. So I was interested when I saw Snake River Farms had a top round. I bought it just to try it and see. You know, when you do brisket, you have to cut across the grain, and it has a certain look, and it can get stringy, and it's I think a little bit hard to cook
sure.
perfectly. So I just did my normal roasting on this top round, and I got this. I want to say at the Ballard Market or Shoreline Central. I don't remember which one exactly. And I just did my usual thing, roasted it for 2.5 hours or so. I tried to cut a little bit to see where my tenderness level wasn't ready yet. Then I put in a cup of water in the bottom. So I had not enough water to boil it or anything, but just to
Right.
kind of keep it moist.
Correct. And
Right?
to also, give some moisture to the
Yeah.
air.
And then I put the lid on it for the next hour. So 2.5 to 3.5 hours now.
So was it crispy already on the outside?
Yeah, it
or
was
not?
already crispy and stuff, so
Okay.
I was fine with that. I did it at 350 or so.
Right.
And then I pulled it out of the oven last night, did my knife test again, like butter.
Mm,
So I just put it in no lid. I put it in the fridge because I was going to bring it to the show this morning.
sure.
So I just now rethermed it since we started here today. So about an hour at 275, 300 degrees. The last 30 minutes were at 175 degrees. I just want to warm it. I don't want it hot.
Sure.
And then I pulled it out and sliced it. So what do you think?
Well, I think it's extremely tender. It's got you don't have to worry about which way you're going to cut it. It's tender on.
I know
no
I cut it
different-
every direction
Yeah.
to see if it was stringy or not.
And it wasn't. I mean, it's definitely a beautiful piece of meat. Melts in your mouth. It's just gorgeous. All I'm missing is my cornichon, my sauerkraut, and my boiled potatoes, and then
Well,
I'll be home.
There's no sauerkraut. The
There's no
Irish don't
sauerkraut.
eat sauerkraut. That's German.
Maybe
or
we can introduce them
Alsatian.
to something different.
Like
Or this
they
is-
like boiled cabbage
It's a word.
or what's
Cold cannon.
cold cannon is
Cold
what
cannon, yeah,
my
cold
favorite
cannon.
thing is which has got kale or broccoli or something like that. A
I want
brassica in with mashed
something
potatoes.
that has a little brightness, like that vinegar, that that acid that's going to cut to the richness, so I can eat more roast beef. I mean, more corned beef. I just want to eat more of that. But right now, I feel kind of like I can't just eat corned beef.
Why not?
Well, it's kind of gross, but
So-
I like to. If you had some sauerkraut to it, I can hide it. I can figure out how to eat much more and still feel healthy.
I think that the interesting thing about the sauerkraut, not to belabor the point, but it probably came from the delis that were making the Reuben sandwiches, right?
Uh-huh.
Were probably Jewish delis with the corned beef or the pastrami with sauerkraut and Russian dressing and things of that nature. So I would really recommend getting out there if it's still available. Sometimes corned beef sells out, especially with people eating at home so much these days. Try one of these top rounds. It's
Yeah.
very
No,
interesting.
very,
and
very interesting.
uh,
It's super delicious. I mean, it
Snake
melts
River
in your mouth.
Farms is the brand, and typically I think of them for Wagyu or a higher cut of beef. I don't know if this is Wagyu or not. I don't
I
remember.
don't think it is.
It tastes like it could be. It's very marbled and
Yeah, it's
delicious.
very nice and delicious.
so enjoy your corned beef for your St. Patty's Day holiday. And the other thing I had recently that I really liked was I had the Jameson Cask Mates Stout whiskey. So it's whiskey that's been aged in a stout cask.
Was it good?
Oh, so good. Yeah, very tasty. I also had their orange whiskey, which not so much for me. But the Cask Mates Stout.
Don't
was
mess with the
tasty.
whiskey.
I know. Exactly. As long as we're talking about cooking Irish, you can't talk about cooking Irish without thinking about beer, like Guinness Stout, maybe. And let's talk about cooking with beer when we come back on the Hot Stove Society, 97.3 FM. You cleaned your plates. Nice job.
So delicious.
Will you do a corned beef next week? I don't usually do it. I'm glad I had it today.
I'm a little more intimidated.
But I think when you find a nice product like that, no need to be.
That side, that was almost just like brisket. Yeah, that's definitely
After doing the research on doing the own brining, though, I would not do that. Own curing. I would just be worried about screwing up my.
We've done it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Because that's so important how we get that right.
Yeah. You don't want to kill yourself with botulism.
Mm.
Usually, I'm used to it being drier, stringier.
Yeah.
That was really surprising.
Are you going to run out to the ballot market and pick up one of those?
Thanks for doing that, Tom.
Yeah.
It's pretty inviting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Makes you want to get back out there and travel.
It's like a menu of cities.
Yeah.
Who was the contributor to that book? We never mentioned that.
There's
The sister
there's
city.
like a society, you know.
So the contributor
a
are
little
from
bit
each
like
city?
the Urban League or a Sister City League.
Cool.
Like,
So they collected the recipes in their cities.
That's very cool.
And then all there's a sister city association. So then they collaborated on the final
Yeah.
bud.
Interesting.
whoa, we're all drinking water here at the hot stove right now because we've eaten a lot of corned beef. Super delicious. This is Tom Douglas.
And Thierry Rotero, the chef in the hat.
Chef, you ate, you said you weren't going to eat any more corned beef, and then you went back and cut yourself a few more
Can't
slices.
stay away. You get
Yeah.
a beautiful piece of corned beef right next to me, and yet there's a knife on the cutting board, and it's just irresistible.
One of the things about the corned beef, I know you can't see it or taste it, and that's just too darn bad. But one of the things about baking it is that all the spices stay on the beef then,
Yeah.
and they get toasty good, and I like that. Let's talk for a minute on cooking with beer. Seems like a natural time. We have a beer class coming up here, how to cook with beer on March 25th
Are you
here
making
at the hot stove.
crepes with beer or no?
No.
No.
What's on, do you know the menu?
Soppin' muffins,
Oh yeah.
cheddar soup, glazed vegetables, braised short ribs, and coffee porter cake.
I love the coffee porter cake.
I
Yeah.
know.
We've been making that for years.
That's good stuff.
It really is. And
But-
if you make a little Irish cream butter to go with it, it's trashy good. Or Irish whiskey butter, like a hard sauce.
That
Trashy-
sounds
trashy
No, I-
delicious.
good.
You've got to get the recipe that's in the Seattle Times today. It's for the Guinness chocolate hot pudding cake.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that sounds good too.
Top notch, and it's got a pudding sauce on top of the cake, and then the whipped cream with the Irish cream liqueur in the cream. So that is like 3
Small
layers.
quantity. Remember, it's much better that way. You're gonna feel a lot better when you're done.
Well, we have to buy booze, right? And so Irish whiskey, Jameson Irish whiskey, which is the most popular in our restaurants anyway, was out of stock for a couple of months. And I kept thinking, what are we going to do about St. Patty's Day? So as I could buy it, I kept buying in more. I now have 15 cases of Jameson Irish whiskey. I'm a classic hoarder.
15 cases. What are you doing? A special for a month?
Well, I mean, we sell a lot. We sell a lot. So anyway, it's we've got plenty of Irish whiskey, and I think cooking with the beer and the whiskey and stuff like that is super fun. So, Chef, have you ever experimented with cooking with some of these stronger kind of hoppy ales?
Not too much into, especially the section that Pam just nominated, and not so much. No, I'm not for me, beer is. I'm not a big fan of hoppy beer, like super hoppy beer,
Like IPAs and stuff?
Yeah, like IPAs. It's not. I'm a weenie beer drinker. When it comes to drinking beer, I like a good Amstel Light or something of that nature. I like beer. I like beer to refresh. I like beer to refresh. Not. I'm not. I don't have enough knowledge about it. The few hop beer I've tried to me were too one-sided, and I didn't like the way it felt. Like I felt like all I was testing was hops, and I like hops like anybody else, but not like a 2x4 in my mouth. No,
Uh-huh.
I like the idea of having it tamed down a little bit. So if you have a light hop beer, definitely my style of beer.
Well, that brings us to an important point about picking the beers that you are going to cook with,
Right.
and the emphasis should be more on the malt character because that's what influences your dish. And so the light beers with appropriately hopped levels are made from a roast of malt that just is a pale golden color, and then all the way up to the stouts and porters where they've taken that barley malt and roasted it super hard and dark. Those are the things that I think make cooking with it more interesting because,
Right.
as you said, the hoppiness. And we went a little too crazy with hops here
Yeah.
in Washington, and
Absolutely.
it's a wonderful local agricultural product, but I think we got too enthusiastic.
That's your fault. You know, you're the
I
ones who was
know,
marketing
I know.
Ballard Bitter and all
I
that
know.
sort of thing.
She
I
started
know,
a-
but that does mess with your recipe. So for the successful cooking ones, you want a lower hop,
Right.
higher malt content a ratio. I mean.
I did forget to mention when I talk about beer drinking, I actually love a good on tap Guinness. I think Guinness
Because of the texture or
Yeah.
the flavor, because
both-
it is
both the
something
texture and the flavor
special.
are so well balanced to me. I think in terms of when you get a good one, it's nicely balanced and it's not too hoppy. It's not too anything. It's just gorgeous, and the mouthfeel is of course extremely filling and leaves a nice delicious flavor in your mouth. So
Uh-huh.
I like a good Guinness on tap. Not a fan of like the one in the can. Does not taste quite the same.
No,
but-
because it's not dispensed with the same level of nitrogen
Right.
introduced. Because
Right.
when you get that perfect double pour of a Guinness, it takes a careful bartender
Right.
To draw that pint and make the creamy head.
Yeah, you have to
Because
be
the texture is completely different.
right, and you have to be patient because it takes longer to pour a Guinness than pouring any other beer. So when
It's
they
worth
pour
it.
pour it, oh yeah, I think it's very worth it. I think it's to me that's how far I go into that side of the beer.
Uh-huh.
But in
It's a
between,
good cooking beer, though, because
Oh,
of that
yeah,
custardy.
yeah.
When you look at it, you think, "Oh, this is going to be too strong or
no,
too potent," but it really comes across more like a creamsicle than
Yeah.
than it does an IPA or
I
something
did
stronger.
a venison roast once, talking about not cooking with beer. But I did a venison roast like a Denver leg, the top round basically of the venison of the deer, and cooked that with braised it with a Guinness base, sliced onion, coriander, mustard seed, all that kind of pickling spice in it, and the stout, and it was really, 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 really delicious because as it reduces and as it cooks, of course, the juice from the meat comes out and it gets reduced down into the Guinness and it becomes very thick and almost like a glace de viande kind of idea. It's really delicious to put that all over the roast itself.
Mhm.
You create that nice film of stout and it's got that nice little, I like the bitterness of it does not get too crazy or too hoppy. Like if you were taking a young, fresh hop beer, nice IPA from here, a strong IPA, you would get, to me, too much of that bitterness, especially if
Yeah,
you
it's
cook
very
with it.
difficult to cook with. I think.
Yeah, it's very hard to cook with because it doesn't cook well. It doesn't reduce. It doesn't need to be reduced already.
Well, it
very
doesn't need to be
powerful.
reduced, and basically, let's just say you're making a beautiful pork sausage, and you want to do it with beer of some sort. You almost, in my mind, have to, like, if you're going to add onions to your pork sausage, right? I'll cook them off separately
Right.
Mm.
in fat and the beer,
Right.
and dehydrate that beer, and then leave the essence of the beer and put it in my sausage. But if you
Right.
try to pour like just an IPA into your sausage mixture,
Could be
it's
too
hard to
bitter.
get it to a spot that is delicious,
Right,
in my
right.
opinion.
No, I agree. I think it.
And sometimes you like Johnsonville brats or something with beer, blah blah blah. You know how much beer is in there? I mean, virtually nothing. You used to have Red Hook, didn't you? Used to have a
Yeah.
sausage when you worked at Red Hook.
Yes, we did have a partnership, and the percentage of beer that was in there was small.
Yeah, but you
There's
could
a
then-
whisper.
Yeah, but you could call them Red Hook brats then, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But they were beautifully accompanied by drinking a beer with
Right,
them.
right. That's your better option.
Yeah, I think so. I think especially in the IPA section. for sure. Yeah, but and when I was saying making crepes, I've made buckwheat crepes with Belgium.
That
Long
would be spectacular.
Yeah, that makes a nice flavor. That added flavor of yeast and the whole thing in there because those beer are tasting differently than the IPA, the more like yeasty.
Right.
And you put a beer like this in your buckwheat batter. It's really delicious.
When we were going over the fish and chip recipe for Seatown, we tried every layer of darkness on beer. How dark can we go? And it really is much better making fish and chip batter out of a much lighter beer.
Right.
Pilsner or something
Especially
of that.
fish. I mean, you don't want it to be like overpowered by that flavor. So make sure you carefully choose your beer.
All right, we have some time, I think, in the next segment to watch Pamela fall on her sword, so to speak, because of her thoughts last week on the protein level of broccoli. Come back for that when we return on the Hot Stove Society show, 97.3 FM.
She's not applauding. Hello, Amy. How you doing?
Friends.
Good. Happy Friday. Oh,
Would
she
you
said-
like a big hunk of
yeah.
corned beef for breakfast?
I just had a big hunk of
You got to taste this. It's once again testimony to Tom being able to cook. You're gonna like it.
Watch out for the bone.
Looks like the Cro-Magnon
Oh,
woman
who just
walked in. Like,
Amy doesn't like to eat meat on the bone, and we love making fun of her every day for that.
are you serious?
Every
What's the
day.
problem?
How much time is the break?
It goes back to when I was 2.
We're having a good time around here at the Hot Stove Society show.
Isn't that good?
Our former producer Amy is in the house eating some corned beef.
Woo!
Everyone in the audience has had corned beef. What'd you think of the corned beef? Yell it out.
Awesome.
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 That's good. Best he ever had. That's the
Recent
Snake
charity,
River.
they are excited about the beef.
I'm
It's
not
nice.
getting a nickel for saying this, but that Snake River Farms top sirloin corned beef is really good.
Yeah, no, super delicious.
I want it to have a little bit more pickled flavor, but it's nice. I like it. Last week, like we do every week, most every week, we have trivia here, and we rely on our producer Pamela Hinckley to, design the questions,
To tell us the truth.
tell us the truth, to look at, not make fools of us saying something that is not true, really.
She usually fixes us in terms of when we don't say the truth, she brings it back to no.
Right, exactly. So it was a surprise last week, I think, Chef. I think it
Yes.
was one of your questions, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. It was a surprise for us to learn how much broccoli was loaded with protein.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think we learned last week, if I'm not mistaken, from Pamela, that broccoli has more protein than red beefsteak.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what she said.
That is what she said.
And we have it on tape, so
Can we play that little segment? I don't know if we can replay that segment. Anyway,
No, I've had it banned.
Anyway, Pam, when you were doing the questions for today's trivia challenge, did something pop up? Did
No,
one of
no,
our
no.
listeners call in? What
no,
happened?
no. It was eating away at me.
Really,
That,
it just didn't sound right.
It didn't.
the guilt.
It didn't sound right. That I believed the trivia that I had gotten from the internet off of my common sense and what I know about nutrition. So I had to go back and see where this misinformation came from. And it took me down the vegan rabbit hole. There was a very popular meme that was created by veganstreet.com. Do you really need meat to get protein? And they had this graphic of beef versus broccoli with the grams of protein per 100 calories.
There's the kicker. Right
There's the kicker.
Yeah.
So if you count by calories, broccoli is a superior source, but you have to have eat enough broccoli to fill this entire
Yeah.
room to get to that amount. Whereas this tiny little 100-gram piece of
So a
beautiful
lifetime of
meat.
broccoli supply
So
equals one
It's
steak.
not quite what you're saying, but it is. You have to eat almost double the amount of broccoli.
triple easily.
Well, it says right here 6.4 grams of protein
Yeah.
per 100. Yeah, triple maybe.
So finally, the madness started to get tamped down when another site did a more accurate graphic and said, "Sorry, vegans, it doesn't," and
Yeah,
showed
it's-
the ratio of broccoli that you would need to eat.
This is. It
So
takes
essentially,
5
you have to
times.
eat a head of broccoli
It takes 5 times.
to eat to what? How many ounces of meat?
It's
4
65
ounces.
grams of meat versus almost 300 grams of broccoli. So it's
Yeah.
5 times the amount of broccoli. For the amount, which, by the way, that's how you should eat. You should eat 5 times the amount of
That does
vegetable
look like
for the amount of meat you're eating. However, that makes it hard for the broccoli to be better.
So we weren't supposed to eat that 2 pounds of roast of corned beef there.
No, it's fine. We're gonna eat a whole truck of broccoli on the way out.
Okay.
But what that got me to thinking about, and more importantly, is that people think often that the only way to get their proteins is through animal products. And what I'm interested in is how can we get complete proteins by combining our vegetables. And there's
Or grains.
and grains,
Yeah.
our legumes,
Yeah.
and our vegetables. So there are thankfully many people writing about it now, because the reason I think we've relied on animal proteins is because they have the complete amino acids necessary to get to a complete protein, whereas there aren't any vegetables that have all of them,
complete,
which is
yeah.
why you need the complementary pairing of vegetables or dairy to get to complete protein. But I want to see more talk about protein sources that aren't animals.
And
Even
again-
though I love a good lamb chop, so I'm not.
It shouldn't
I
be.
understand.
It should not be a battle of one against the other.
Yes.
It should be an understanding on just 1/4 meat, 3/4 vegetable. And if you balance your vegetable between green and salads and grains, you'll have the complete perfect
Protein, yeah.
protein amount.
I think, Chef, you're leaving out a little bit of the argument that, like our friend Courtney, who won't eat anything that has a mother. You know, so there's not just a balance about the protein, but there's a lifestyle choice about whether or not you should be killing animals.
Correct. So if
Right.
you-
So you can't just put it in that one box. is
No,
what
no,
I'm
no.
saying.
What I'm saying is, I totally agree with Pam's summarization. You need to balance it out because one will not be enough. You know, you can't just eat a big bowl of lentils and go, okay, I got my protein for the day. Well, that might be good for one day, but you can't eat like that every day.
Well, it's not even. I think what she's saying is the. That's why they always say beans and rice, like the Mexican beans and rice.
Right.
It's the perfect protein, like meat, right? Because
Correct.
you have to have both in order to get that full
Exactly.
spectrum. And so just eating a big thing of lentils, you'll get some protein, but you won't get the full
Right.
protein with all the right mix.
So keep it balanced.
how I'm
Learn
reading
your
that.
learn
Yeah.
your protein content. That's an easy one to do. Just go online and look at it. The same graphic than we have here.
So we have a graphic here that says complete protein combination. So legumes, chickpeas, are they saying that you have to combine them with the nuts?
Yeah. Well, they
So-
give you different combinations.
Right. So chickpeas or black-eyed beans with cashews and pumpkin seeds. Black beans and lentils with almonds and sesame seeds. Edamame or split beans, which is like a split pea, with almonds and walnuts. Or pinto beans and lima beans with pistachios and flax seeds. Or you can eliminate all the nuts if you want. If you have a nut problem, go with whole grains.
Yeah.
That works when you combine those with the vegetable proteins of legumes.
Yeah. So back to my idea of 1/4 meat and 3/4 vegetable.
Well,
Just
yeah,
eliminate
that's a
the
lifestyle plan for sure.
eliminate the meat and then just go 4/4 of vegetables and grain. And then you'll have your balanced meal. And I just think to go meatless is not necessarily it's not a bad idea whatsoever, because I think we are overdoing it. But to keep it balanced is more important than anything else, I think. Just keep it balanced.
And a shout out for guidance. You've heard me talk about Diet for a Small Planet, Francis Moore LePay, previously, but that book is such a good teaching tool and was so ahead of its time that they've just released it for its 50th anniversary. A beautiful new edition, and it has great charts on combining all of the food groups for your complementary protein. So go out and buy a copy
Was she a
today.
scientist or just a hippie? Like you loved the old hippies.
She's a hippie.
Yeah.
But she learned her science.
Yeah, for sure.
And
It's
now
very
her
cool.
daughter has taken up the cause with her, and they've reissued the book. So
I mean, in the world we live in today, between the internet and all the information we have out there,
yeah,
the excuses are getting very much smaller and smaller for people who say, "Oh, I don't know how to do that." It's like, just go look it up. Just give it a shot. Give it a 15-minute start, and then see what it looks like. And next thing you know, you go, "Well, you know what? That's easy. I can put grain in my food. I can put vegetables in my food. And you'll feel better." I've been having diversified diet for sure. You know,
my
that's-
my most recent success was chickpeas and farro with paprika.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And what did you do with them?
it was a side dish. Of course, it had a little bit of butter and olive oil in it to carry the paprika through, but the combination of the paprika on that roasty farro, and then I crunched up the chickpeas. It was
So did you boil the farro first and roast it then?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Coming up next, we're going to play Truth or Dare with Pamela on Rub with Love Tasty Trivia. Either she tells us the truth or we're going to dare her to do something that she doesn't want to do. So because we can't seem to trust her with the answers.
No, I like the research she does.
I feel
afterwards.
violated. Yeah, I like the research afterwards.
afterwards.
I feel violated for
Char-
last week's.
Charity and Chris are going to join us and be
Okay,
your
great.
competitors.
Great.
Ooh.
When we come back, it's the Hot Stove Society Show on Cairo 97.3 FM.
All right, my darlings, you're going to come up here.
I really like the intense research. That was cool. No, it's very explanatory.
It was humbling. It was humbling. 'Cause, you know, I pretend to be so keen on
We all do.
nutrition. Let me see. Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the fruits of labor right there.
Woo! That's some reduced salt right there.
intense. Just a little bit.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to put much in there.
But you take that and you mix it with some chicken stock.
Oh my God. Yes.
You have a great jus.
That's the money sauce.
Yeah, I mean, you take that, don't throw that away. Take that and mix it with a little chicken stock or vegetable stock, and you'll have a
Or
great.
some broccoli.
Actually, with lentils, it would be
With
so
lentils.
delicious. Or beans or lentils, it would be good. With caramelized turnips, it would be good. Okay, you guys ever listened to the show before?
We have.
Cool. So you know how it goes. You have to let us win, right? You know that, right?
I think that was the general idea. I do remember that part.
You remember that part, right? I mean, a few people have died because they didn't want to comply to that, but other than that, we're cool. We're not sore loser or anything. These are the rules, Tony.
That was a salty
That was
bite.
salty bite. So good.
We won't stop drinking water yet. CNC. CNC are fighting TNT.
Oh, I like it.
TNT.
The name of our beer classes, and Kelty thought of it because it's during the class, Stop Whining and Eat Your Beer. It's Funny.
No, it is very funny. Did you announce when that was? We didn't announce when that was.
We are back in the Hot Stove Society show. We're going to announce it right now. My name is Tom Douglas.
And I'm Terry Rotero, the chef in a hat.
And for those of you who are interested on the beer class, it's March 25th here at the Hot Stove Society. And Pamela, what's the name of our class?
Stop whining and eat your beer.
Well, there you go. I like that.
We want to have fun.
We want to have fun. And Chef Kelty is going to lead that. Food for Thought Tasty Trivia is brought to you by Rub with Love. We make it in small batches. They're versatile. We have sauces and mustard is in our line. We bring an extra layer of flavor to any meal. Be sure to visit these great retailers for Rub with Love when celebrating spring in downtown Seattle. You've got Bartell's, PCC Community Markets, Whole Foods, De Laurentiis, Don and Joe's, and of course our own joint, Seatown, Dahlia Bakery, all. And here at the Hot Stove, we have all of our product line in place. Pam, will you tell people how we play this game? We've invited a couple of audience members, our only audience members,
Our favorite audience members,
to play today, and what they're going to win.
We each of the contestant groups is going to get 5 questions, and there will be a winner and a loser. And
There's usually a winner and 2 losers.
and 2 losers. And the winner's going to get to pick a rub trio of their choice to take
Nice.
home.
Wow.
Because there's the line now is expanded to so much deliciousness, it's hard to choose.
Yeah.
All right, we like to start with
I start.
Mr. Rotero.
Yes,
And
with
the,
the
and the
easy-
loser has to deliver the product over the counter here.
Yeah,
So-
no, that's a. I'll try my best. If I lose,
Number
Only one.
1.
go ahead.
Which fruit is named after a flightless bird?
A flightless bird. What's a bird that's flightless? Ostrich.
Doesn't seem like it should be a bird.
I know. What is it called a bird if it's not flying?
Fruit,
A fruit,
small,
small.
starts with a K.
Kiwi.
Kiwi! Yay!
I was close. I was the ostrich, and then I was like too big.
People
Fly.
people don't realize on the show how much Pam cheats.
Well, I wouldn't call that cheating. I would call that helping.
Number 2, what American cookie company makes Chips Ahoy?
Cookie company.
Famous Amos.
Think
Oh.
about one of the big
Begins with a K. I'll tell
multinational.
you that.
Kellogg.
Oh,
Doesn't it begin with Keebler?
no.
Oh,
Begins
Oh,
with an
Nestle.
N. Close.
Nabisco,
Nabisco!
which stands
Okay.
for
Not today.
National Biscuit Company.
Oh. Number 3.
Yes.
Mexican ceviche is made by marinating raw fish in what type of liquid?
Lemon.
Yes.
Lime.
Both.
Both.
We love both those
Yeah.
answers. Number 4, name the spice which comes in pods of white, black, and green. Your options are mustard, cardamom, cumin, or allspice.
Cardamom.
Yay! Screaming to the lead.
Yes. Right now I'm leading big time because I'm by myself so far.
What? And your final one, what is the process of preparing eggs for Caesar salad dressing called? What do you call what you're doing to the egg?
Emulsion. Between anchovy paste and
Before that,
coddling. You coddle the egg. I'm
Coddling.
sorry. You coddle the egg, then you put it in the bowl.
I always cuddle the egg.
Yeah.
Cuddle.
I sleep with it the night before, and then the next day, I
and the
make
little
Caesar-
chick comes out, and you're like,
next day,
out
I
of
make Caesar
dressing.
salad out of it.
How'd
All
you
right.
do, Terry?
4 out of 5.
Nice. Charity and Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Number 1,
Oh,
what is the major ingredient in the British foodstuff Marmite?
You have to jump right up into that
Maybe
microphone.
beef stock?
That's what it tastes like. but it is an element that is used to
It's from Australia.
make things rise.
Yeast?
Yay! Yes, you got
that's not what I
it.
thought. Yes.
Number 2, adrak is not unique to Indian cuisine, but is common in other Asian countries, East Africa, and Caribbean. Adrak is the rhizome of the plant, which produces pink and white flower buds, turning yellow when they bloom. What is the English word for adrak? Now think about the flower. Your options are coriander, garlic, ginger, or cardamom.
I think cardamom.
Ginger.
Jump right up to the mic when you answer.
Ginger.
Uh-oh.
Which flower yields the spice saffron? You might even have them in your yard in the spring.
Right
They're
now.
coming up right now.
Tiny.
Starts with a C.
I have no idea.
You ever heard of crocus?
Crocus.
Crocus.
Crocus. And now I'm happy to say we have beautiful saffron here in Washington.
That's right.
Love that
Very
brand.
nice saffron.
Number 4, a pimento is what type of vegetable? Use your color as a clue. Big family.
Mento. I'm saying a legume or a bean.
I was going to say a cheese.
Pimento cheese.
It's from
Yeah.
cheese.
Cheese. Yeah.
A
Pepper.
pimento
It's
is
a
a pepper.
Pepper.
And finally, in the Philippines, what is lumpia?
Like a spring roll?
Yes.
Spring roll,
Nice job.
You
Two.
go, Charity.
2 out of 5.
We had the
Oh.
aroma of corned beef.
I
on
know.
our
I
minds.
It's hard to get past it.
Difficult.
Oh, Tom Douglas. Number 1, what is used to thicken gazpacho?
What is used to thicken gazpacho?
It's a trick question.
I'm going to say tomatoes.
Yes. That would be tomato.
Bread.
Ah, there you go.
Number 2.
That's one style of gazpacho. I'll give you that.
This question's in honor of Annie because she's teaching a Hungarian class tonight. What is
Our Annie is teaching a Hungarian class.
her husband's Hungarian?
Oh, that's right. I
Ah.
forgot.
What is the national spice of Hungary?
Paprika.
Yep.
Yep. Allspice, number 3, allspice is the key ingredient in which popular food, and your options are
Jerk.
yes. Jerk. Number 4. Which of the following civilizations is believed to be the first to experiment with turning mustard seed into a condiment?
The people of Nantes. Civilizations of turning mustard seeds into a condiment.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's got to be the Chinese. They started everything.
Oh, it's the Romans.
The Romans.
Whoa.
I think the Romans probably stole it from the Chinese.
Okay. I'll do some research.
2 out of 4, Tom. You got to make that one or you'll be equal with
All right.
CNC here.
Oh man. Should I give him a hard one or a gimme? Charity,
Hard one.
Chris?
Give me a hard one.
Give 'em a hard one.
All right. Let's try this one. This fragrant leaf was sacred to Apollo and was woven into a wreath by ancient Romans to crown their champions. Most cooks prefer to use it in their
Bay
bouquet
leaf.
garnish.
It's actually wrong. It's actually laurel.
Laurel. There you go.
Oh.
Bay is from California.
Bay laurel.
Laurel is from Greece.
Bay laurel.
Bay laurel.
Bam!
Declare the winner.
It's Chef Thierry is the winner. He gets to deliver the prize to
Wait, I
our.
deliver because I won. I thought the loser delivers.
Oh, that's true.
I
I get to
deliver every
deliver
week
the
already.
prize. I get to not only buy the prize, but I get to deliver the prize.
To Charity and Chris.
There you
who
go.
thank
Congratulations.
so much for
If you
you
want to
for
be part of the
playing.
show, you can join our community on YouTube Live at Hot Stove Society Radio Show. You're listening to the Hot Stove show on Cairo. The show is produced by Pamela Hinckley, Sean McFadden, and our editor is Sean, don't call me Del Torre. Remember, if you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo 97.3, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app.
Have a wonderful weekend.
And
Thank you.
Enjoy your corned beef.
I was going to say happy Valentine's Day, and then like, it's not Valentine's Day. What do we call it?
All right, everyone sit still for a minute. Hi, I'm Chef Tom Douglas.
And I'm Thierry Roturo, the chef in a hat.
This afternoon on the Hot Stove Society radio show, we talk about corned beef, and dang, it was delicious. The Seattle Times reported Jackie Varriano's article about Seattle's sister cities and the new cookbook, International Table, crunchy cauliflower, and should you be cooking with beer? We're going to find out here today.
Woohoo!
So awesome.
You.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for coming in, you guys.
Where did
Thanks
you
for playing.
come from? Where you all up nice. Thanks for making
How was
the
traffic
trek.
this morning?
Nice. So do you just jump over to I-5?